All right, so we got some news. I believe it was on the day or the first day I got back from vacation that the Lions, according to the Detroit Times, have had dialogue about signing four-time Pro Bowl edge rusher Matthew Judon, also per Lions insider Dave Burkett. Now, Matthew Judon, I'm not high on Matthew Judon at all. I've said this all offseason. I am not a high on Matthew Judon at all. Now, I will be jump out of my seat. I will do so much. I would be so happy if we brought in Matthew Judon. Real talk. With how our edge rusher group is, I would absolutely be that way. Now, Matthew Judon, he did not have a good year at all last year. I believe he only had 22 or 23 pressures last season. And obviously, pressures on everything. He did have 5.5 sacks as well last year. And I used to go off of sacks 100%. But if you take a look at Matthew Judon's film last year, he did not have a good year. 5.5 sacks, you're like, that's not bad. That would be second on our team from last year. Clearly. And obviously, we would take that. But he was just not impactful enough on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm like, why am I saying this when he would be second on our team right now? I'm just saying, compared to guys who are still left on the market, like Za'Darius Smith, who the Lions released, and Jadeveon Clowney, I don't like that they would pursue potentially Matthew Judon over guys like that. Now, obviously, I pretty much knew that we would never bring in Jadeveon Clowney just from his past, but Za'Darius Smith, the fact that we released him and that we're thinking about signing Matthew Judon over him is just outrageous to me. But let's go ahead and take a look at Matthew Judon's stats. Now, on the plus side, Matthew Judon was viewed as one of the best edge rushers in football 2 years ago. Real talk. He was really viewed as one of the best edge rushers in football 2 years ago. So, Matthew Judon, on the older side, I believe he is 33, from Grand Valley State, 2016 fifth-round pick by Baltimore, 5.5 sacks and a pick last season. His first year played 14 games, 4 sacks, a fumble recovery. Let's just go year by year on sacks. His second year had 8 sacks, third year was 7, fourth year 9.5. So very consistent throughout his first 4 years in the league, especially as a fifth-round pick. Then I guess the Ravens gave him a 1-year extension, and he had 6 sacks his final year with Baltimore. Then he headed to New England on a 4-year, I believe it was $52.5 million deal after Baltimore. First year was very, very good with New England, had his best career season, 12.5 sacks. And then 2022, he absolutely exploded, played every single game, 15.5 sacks, which I believe might have led the league that year. 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, and 3 passes deflected. In 2023, he also had a phenomenal start, played 4 games, had 4 sacks, and I believe he led the league before he got hurt that season with sacks, or he was second. And then he ended up getting traded before the season last year to Atlanta, where he had 5.5 sacks and a pick, along with 5 passes deflected. But you watch the film, he was just not that great last year. And again, let me say this again. If he was on the Lions, he would have been our second best pass rusher last season with stats and film. But compared to what an average defensive end too is, Matthew Judon just isn't that great anymore. Matthew Judon, in my opinion, is more of a DE3. If Marcus Davenport could ever stay healthy, I can't believe I keep saying it. If he could stay healthy, we know he's not going to stay healthy. But if Marcus Davenport could ever stay healthy, he's on the same level as Matthew Judon, in my opinion, at this point in their careers. Again, I would probably take Matthew Judon over Marcus Davenport just because Matthew Judon, we know, can stay healthy consistently. Again, Matthew Judon has been so consistently healthy throughout his career. The only year where he wasn't healthy was in 2023. He missed his first 2 games in 2016, missed 2 games in 2020, and that's the only time he's missed games in his NFL career. So, besides that year in 2023. So, Matthew Judon, Lions have reportedly had dialogue. I don't know if that means they've reached out to him, if they brought him in for a visit. People were speculating that we brought him in for a visit. I have not heard anything about that, bringing him in for a visit. But I don't know if that just means dialogue throughout the Lions organization with Brad Holmes, Chris Spielman, and them guys, John Dorsey. Or if that means they've had dialogue with Matthew Judon. I have no clue. If I had to guess from the context of this, I think they've just had dialogue within the organization about Matthew Judon. I don't think they've actually reached out to him, but you never know. So, one Pride Go Lions. This is big news, really, because I expect Za'Darius Smith and the edge rusher market to get extremely thin here within the next couple of weeks once teams get to realize what their defensive end room and edge rusher room is looking like during the preseason. So, I mean, this is good news. At least the Lions apparently are in the market for another edge rusher, which is very good. But I can't believe they just might go with Matthew Judon over Za'Darius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney, specifically Za'Darius Smith. Unreal. But one probably go Lions. I'll take anybody at this point. Obviously, 5.5 sacks is better than Marcus Davenport getting a half a sack and only playing 2 games and then getting hurt again and being out for the year. So, again, I'll take it. One probably go Lions, but not my ideal choice.